We are located in the village of Caney Medio in the municipality of Cumaral in the department of Meta. Together with my family we have a productive project, in which we are dedicated to the cultivation, processing and marketing of microalgae spirulina, is a project that was consolidated a couple of years ago and with which we have been working. My experience with spirulina began many years ago. I had the experience of working in a company in the region. From there I fell in love with this world of spirulina. It is a fantastic world. It is something that is not done. It is very new, despite the years that have passed. It is an industry that has not been developed in the country. Well, it is a superfood, but I see it more as an opportunity to generate development for the region. I think it is a good opportunity to bring the Colombian countryside forward, to contribute to the welfare of the people, right? Well, with an organic product, a natural product, a good food, I would define it as life and the safest and healthiest way to do one. You are what you consume, you are what you eat, and there is no other food as complete as spirulina that can compete with it and give us so many benefits. Spirulina is a green-blue microalgae whose shape is spiral, photosynthetic organism capable of producing oxygen very efficiently, has essential amino acids for the human body, vitamins such as K, A, E. It is characterized by its high content of nutrients, especially protein, is rich in minerals, mainly iron, magnesium, potassium, iodine, selenium and phosphorus. It is said that these organisms were partly responsible for the current atmosphere, the current terrestrial atmosphere, given its high capacity to absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen, and coming more to the present, Mayas and Aztecs were cultures that, within their food, had spirulina as a base. They were the basis of their food, and as in African regions, as in the Caney region, where in an artisanal way they still produce and consume it today, like in African regions, such as the region of Caney, where they still produce and consume it in an artisanal way. At an industrial level, spirulina has been developing approximately since the 60s and 70s, where it started, its industrialization began, and nowadays they produce around 50 to 60,000 tons of dry product per year. It is an industry that has been expanding and has been growing rapidly. When I started independently with spirulina, I did it experimentally. By that time I lived in the city of Bogota and I started having a laboratory in my own room. Then it was room and laboratory at the same time. I gave some advice, I marketed the strains, but I always had the idea of consolidating and establishing a company and achieve a biomass production as such and take forward a brand. It has been a path really full of challenges, full of many things to overcome, but we have all managed to overcome them, even though, for example, we have not had the support of the bank that for lack of knowledge has denied us access to credit on several occasions, and we have managed, independently, to continue moving forward. But as it grew and my brothers were integrated into the project and are now a fundamental part of it, are those who are in support, both in the productive and administrative part, with the passage of time as we have linked apart to other people who support us in this process of growth.
con el pasar del tiempo, pues hemos vinculado aparte a otras personas que nos apoyan en este proceso de crecimiento.
Yo creo que aproximadamente hace 8 años.
I think that for about 8 years, I have been there, getting closer to him, learning. The last 2 years we have been working hard. I have felt much more linked to the company. You realize, over the years, that you see the results and that fills you with pride. Yes, there are times when you are tired because you have to work a lot, you have to reorganize. But the next day you say, ah, what a bravery. We got this forward. See how we have advanced. That is gratifying and that fills you as a person.
Entonces pues eso es gratificante y eso como que lo llena uno como persona.
What I like most about growing spirulina is that I am at home, I am in an environment with my family, in a very natural area, we are directly in the field. I see this business with my family very big. We see a crop that has many applications and much potential to develop. It is also a company that is a crop that is beginning to develop in Colombia, and we have the availability of a market that is starting, which is practically virgin. Annually, around 50 to 60,000 tons of dehydrated spirulina are produced worldwide, of which Colombia produces about 200 kilos per month. Production in Colombia is very small, is on an industrial scale, is an industry that has not developed precisely, in part, for lack of state support. This lack of knowledge of the product is a product that is found in some very specific places, such as health food stores, but has not expanded its marketing as a food. It is not made an important dissemination that should have this food. The food industry is becoming very interested in introducing this raw material into their processes, and very important companies are betting on using this product in their food developments. In Colombia we have all the opportunities: 1. To establish industry, to grow as an industry and produce. The market demands these quantities of product, and at the same time, the conditions we have here to produce spirulina are ideal. We can produce one of the best quality spirulina in the world. We have the water resources, we have sun, it is a climate in which we can have a constant production throughout the year. The spirulina sector is a sector that works with the theme of innovation, nutrition and sustainability. The companies located in Cumaral in the theme of Nutre and Naturila are family businesses that have started to move forward as a job opportunity. In this case is a business opportunity or entrepreneurship, are families who have wanted to have an advanced life option. A life option that is friendly to the environment, marketing their products that are also healthy. For me, to be a green business is to be a profitable and 100% environmentally friendly business. From our raw materials, through the entire cultivation process and the production process to obtain the finished product, there is a management chain that takes care of the environment in all its aspects. The environmental impact generated is minimal, and we reduce it and take action so that this is preserved over time and further reduce the impact. We want to accompany the spirulina sector, these companies that are so innovative and so interesting in terms of nutrition, to support them in terms of marketing, linking them to all the activities. There is a very interesting marketing strategy called Go Green, led by the corporation, by Cormacarina, where we can accompany them by promoting the products and all marketing issues. Different organizations worldwide have endorsed the consumption of spirulina, including the UN, which in 1974, ranked it as the best food for humanity. That same year the FAO declared it the best food for tomorrow, and in 1992 the WHO named spirulina as the healthy product for the cycle 21.
Nos encontramos aquí en el área de cepas, en el laboratorio de microalgas, y es aquí donde empieza.
We are here in the area of strains in the microalgae laboratory, and this is where the entire production process begins. This is where we receive the strains, and this is where they begin to replicate. To reach a commercial production culture is necessary to make a series of scaling. For example, we have 15 milliliters of microalgae strain. This is the strain of microalgae that we use as a starter culture. This culture with the passing of the days is taking a concentration, is concentrating, and here for example we have a culture of about a week in which we already see the microalgae much more concentrated compared to this other strain of microalgae that already has about 20 days and is already ready to make the next scaling. Scaling is simply to increase the volume of the initial culture that we have and to take it to the level we want to reach. To simply increase the volume, what do we need? We need a culture medium, right? This culture medium that is already prepared, that is drinking water with all the nutrients, and this is where we plant the microalgae. The scaling is very simple. What we do is we do a direct seeding to the culture medium, which is basically what you do in a large culture when you want to replicate or increase productivity. This culture, we simply sow it, we sow the strain and we place the conditions that it needs to grow, which are simply agitation, constant light, temperature, and in a couple of days, in about a week we will have a culture with these conditions. These cultures are ready for the next stage, which is to increase in volume. Another work that is done here, which is of utmost importance, is the daily microscopic checks. We have a microorganism, an organism that is microscopic, therefore it is necessary, on a daily basis, to check the conditions in which they are found. Spirulina is a spiral, and it is very important that this morphological characteristic is maintained. When we have spirals, the harvest will be efficient, fast, the biomass we obtain will be easily pressed, we will obtain a consistent biomass. But when we have a spirulina that is not in these conditions and has a high percentage of spirals of straight filaments, the harvest is much more delayed, the biomass is not compact, and therefore that has an impact on the final product. Because it will be much more trapped culture medium and the organoleptic characteristics will vary. Something we do constantly is isolations of strains. Take a sample under the microscope and isolate the best specimens. The traceability that we do starts from the raw materials, from our suppliers, and we make a whole control to the acquisition of these raw materials to ensure the highest quality throughout the supply chain and production. We are in a typical production unit of spirulina microalgae. This is a unit that is under greenhouse. Spirulina grows in these tanks, are tanks called raceways for its shape, a rectangular oval shape with semi-rounded corners and a central division, which allows the culture medium is all the time circulating. this culture has a production capacity of 50 kilos/month dry. The total area of the culture is 150 meters. Squares are required constant agitation in the cultivation of this microalgae. And this agitation has several functions. The first is to expose the cells to sunlight so they can perform the process of photosynthesis. Another function is to keep the culture homogeneous, the mixture of nutrients in the culture homogeneously, and release the oxygen that she produces. We are already structuring the new production unit that will complement this one, which has an additional 100,000 liters of capacity. For that we need to obtain a volume of strain that is a starter culture, which is the same spirulina, very concentrated. At this moment we have a stopped production precisely to achieve high concentration rates and to serve as the seed that we need for the new culture. That is also why the foam that comes out of the culture is already reaching its saturation point, yes. And it generates a large amount of oxygen that the agitation system, the blades, helps to remove from the crop, and the crop under normal conditions the foam is practically zero. It is essential to have several factors. First, the temperature. The temperature of the culture should be around 37 degrees Celsius, is the ideal temperature, although it grows perfectly from 30 degrees Celsius. Lower temperatures simply slow down this growth. Light is essential for photosynthesis. Spirulina grows in an alkaline culture medium. The culture medium in which it grows is characterized because it is a mixture of nutrients similar to hydroponic crops, and within these nutrients are mainly sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate food grade is the source of carbon dioxide she needs for metabolism. Iron, magnesium, magnesium sulfate, potassium sulfate and sodium chloride are nutrients that are part of the culture medium of spirulina. Each industry chooses the culture medium that is most convenient for them. It is also important to clarify that depending on the origin, say, the water you have, the culture medium may vary. Why? In this case we have a water very rich in minerals. It is a mineral water from the mountain range, that makes, for example, in our amounts of additional iron to the water are lower. It is a water rich in certain nutrients, which is very advantageous for the crop because they are minerals of natural origin, they come naturally from the water. During the year 2019 we were beneficiaries of a call for Minchienchas. We had an alliance with the University of the Andes, with whom we have been strengthening ourselves and strengthening the work we do around this type of industries, and we managed to advance in several developments. One of them was to make use of red lead light, to increase the amount of phycocyanin in the microalgae can store, is a blue pigment that gives the typical name to spirulina, from algae, microalgae green, blue. This pigment is characterized by its benefits. Benefits in consumption, along with iron-containing phycocyanin make pair and strengthens us. The immune system. At this point we are going to make an addition of one of the most important parameters of the culture, which is the pH and taking the temperature. We do it with an electrode, which we submerge in the culture medium, and it indicates in a short time the temperature at which the culture is and the pH at which it is. At this moment we have a pH of 9.4 and a temperature in the culture medium of 29.4 degrees Celsius. The culture is in optimal conditions. Another maintenance that is that part of the pH and temperature is to take the sechi that tells us if it is at the optimal point to remove biomass, then at that time the tank is about 2 centimeters, has about 4 grams of biomass per liter, is at a more than optimal point to remove the biomass. After we have reached the concentration of culture, we proceed to the harvest. The harvest is nothing more than removing the biomass of the culture medium. This biomass is removed by means of a very fine silk of approximately 35 microns, which we put on a filtering table. On this table is piped by pumping, the culture medium, which falls, passes the filter and the water without microalgae returns to the pond. After the enlistment of the material, the next step is the pumping, which consists of introducing an electric pump inside the culture, and by means of the same one we suck the culture and which arrives at this filtering table. The process of harvesting lasts approximately 2 hours, and the indicative to stop the percentage of biomass that we have here, which we measured it in kilograms. In this moment we see as the culture medium crosses the membrane and it is beginning to be all the biomass trapped in the silk. Each cubic centimeter of culture can contain thousands of cells, thousands of microalgae. They are microscopic, around 35 microns. There are even some that measure less. Per harvest we expect to obtain 20 kilograms of wet biomass, which at the end of the dehydrated process represents 4 kilograms of dry biomass. 80% of the algae is composed of water and only the remaining 20% is dry weight that we can get. When the harvesting process is finished we continue with the pressing, put the biomass in another filter and then apply a force to remove all the culture medium and obtain a very homogeneous biomass. When the filtering is very fast and we obtain a consistent biomass in the first phase, this indicates that the filaments that are in the culture are spiral, as we could observe them in the microscope.
Se encuentran espiralados, como los pudimos observar en el microscopio.
One of the final stages of the process is the dehydration. This is done at very low temperature, less than 40 degrees Celsius, and is done by forced air. Dehydration lasts approximately 10 hours and the residual heat produced by our dehydrator is injected into our crop, so we avoid sending hot air into the atmosphere and use it to compensate for temperature losses that may be in the tank. The dehydrated is always done in a dehydrator lined with stainless steel. It is necessary to make a temperature control, temperature checks of humidity throughout the process to verify that it is within parameters and thus meet market requirements and ensure the quality of the final product. Remember that we are working with food, and safety is one of the main and primary factors to be taken into account. After we obtain the dehydrated product, this follows the final phase, which is the packaging and the different presentations. If a product in crunchy, which is one of our presentations, we simply do a manual crushing, in a very artisanal way, and if it is the granulated product we do a grinding process. Apart from our brand, we offer toll manufacturing services to third parties, and we also offer bulk products for other industries and their processes. On a personal level, the consumption of spirulina for me has been great, because in the family we are 2 brothers who like sports and we see that it really works. You won't regret trying this health-promoting product. Our philosophy is that, regardless of the growth we achieve over time, We always maintain quality, our quality is our main objective.
siempre mantengamos calidad.
I see him a lot as an example to follow, very enterprising. He is a fighter, he gets resources from wherever he can, and I think that is something that one has to be contagious. So, yes, I feel proud that he is my brother and I like to be close to him to learn everything I can.
Entonces sí, me siento pues orgulloso de que sea mi hermano y me gusta mucho estar cerca de él para aprender todo lo que se pueda.